Arata woke up from a nightmare where everything around him was shrouded in darkness, and he was reaching out to grab Hijiri's hand to save her. When he woke up, he accidentally had his hand on Hijiri's chest. He greeted her and asked if she had made breakfast. Before heading off to school, the two of them ate together. During breakfast, Arata asked if Hijiri was still mad at him. Hijiri told him to talk about something else, so Arata made a comment about how her chest seemed to have gotten a little bigger. Hijiri scolded him, but Arata just said that it was a good thing. He brought up an old drawing where Hijiri had written "Hijiri loves Arata," saying she looked like a little kid when she drew it. Hijiri was surprised that he still had it and said it was embarrassing. But it turned out Arata had even set it as his phone wallpaper. The two of them left for school together. Hijiri was not only Arata's cousin, but also his childhood friend. Arata thought she could be annoying and bossy, but he did not hate being around her. Hijiri commented on how clear the weather was that day. Arata looked up and saw the sun covered in black, but assumed it was just his imagination. Suddenly, a girl passed by and he heard her voice telling him to wake up or else she would kill him. Later in class, Arata was still thinking about the girl's voice from that morning. During lunch break, he went up to the school rooftop and spaced out. Hijiri found him there and said she had not known he liked spending time up there. She asked why he looked like something was on his mind. Arata asked if the sun had always been black. Hijiri was confused and told him that, as far as she knew, the sun had been black even before he was born. Arata asked if she was being serious. Hijiri told him that the world he was in was exactly the world he had wished for, a place where the two of them could be together and have fun every day. So why would it matter if the sun was black? She even said that if he stayed with her forever, she would do anything he wanted. That made Arata question whether the person in front of him was really Hijiri. To test her, he asked about his birthday, his favorite food, and where he hid his adult magazines. She answered all of them. His birthday was June 18th, his favorite food was fried chicken, and he kept the magazines under his bed. Hijiri asked if he still did not believe her and said she had never lied to him. Then Arata asked again what color the sun was. Hijiri said it was obviously black. Arata reminded her that when they were kids, she had drawn it red. He was sure that Hijiri had never lied to him, so he started wondering who the girl in front of him really was and where the real Hijiri had gone. Hijiri laughed and said that Arata had backed her into a corner. She admitted she never expected him to figure out just from that drawing. Suddenly, a girl fired a shot at Hijiri. Thankfully, she managed to activate his shield in time. Arata realized that it was the same girl he had seen that morning. She introduced herself as Lilith. Arata asked why she was wearing something that looked like an assassin's outfit, and Lilith explained it was actually a battle uniform for mages. Arata was totally confused about what was going on. Hijiri snapped her fingers and changed everything in front of him. The world around them started to fall apart. Hijiri told him that this was actually the world he had been living in all along. Lilith explained that 3 days ago, a massive gravitational disturbance of unknown origin had been detected in that area. The incident was known as a breakdown phenomenon. The entire city had been swallowed up by a gravitational quake. Arata held his head in pain as the memories came flooding back. Hijiri asked if he had finally remembered what happened. Arata recalled the moment when the sunlight turned black and the dark light swallowed everything. That was when Hijiri gave him a magic book and asked him to save the world to make her wish come true. She had asked him to wake up in the morning after she left to make sure he ate 3 times a day and to keep himself clean. She kissed Arata, and not long after that, her body began to fade. She told him not to forget about her. Back then, Arata had no idea what was going on or where everyone had gone. All he knew was that he was holding the magic book and wished for everything to go back to normal. It suddenly hit him. He was the one who caused it all. Hijiri admitted that she had been asked to grant Arata's wish, so she created a world that matched exactly what he wanted. Lilith was also shocked as she had been sent by the school to investigate the phenomenon. What she found was a city that was never supposed to exist. Hijiri said it was no trouble at all for her to create it. According to Lilith, the magic book was incredibly dangerous. If anything went wrong, the damage could spread, possibly creating an entirely different world. A regular magic book could never do something like that. Lilith gave Arata 2 options: either hand over the book and erase the fake world, or refuse and be killed on the spot, since no one else wanted that false world except him. If he chose the first option, Lilith promised he could go back to living a peaceful life, but they would destroy the book and wipe his memories of Hijiri and the others. If he refused, she would kill him right then and there. Arata laughed and asked why he would want to live if it meant forgetting everything, especially Hijiri. He asked where the real Hijiri was and what had happened to her. The fake Hijiri explained that the real one was still alive, while she was just a shadow projection of her. The real Hijiri was somewhere across space and time. Once Arata realized that Hijiri was still alive, he said he would not give up the magic book or accept death. Instead, he chose a third option. Arata then followed Lilith to Biblia Academy to learn magic. The magic school was located deep in the countryside. Lilith was still surprised that Arata had been let off so easily. Nothing like that had ever happened before. Arata had previously asked to become a mage, believing that since all mages had magic books, that meant he could become one too. Lilith had never heard of something like that, but considering he had created an entire world, it made sense. Arata was confident in his choice to become a mage, no matter how small the chance might be. While walking through the academy halls, Arata found out that Lilith was actually a teacher at the school. He asked her how old she was, and she replied that she was the same age as him. She showed him his classroom and reminded him to treat everyone with respect. Lilith introduced Arata to the class, and he greeted everyone. Out of nowhere, Selena asked Arata what kind of girls he liked. Arata replied that he appreciated all kinds of personalities, but what mattered most to him was someone who was kind and beautiful on the inside. Selena asked again if it was really true that Arata could create a new world, even though that kind of power was supposedly only possible for someone on the level of a demon lord. Arata then asked if there was truly no one else who could do something like that. Suddenly, the whole class erupted in excitement, saying that they had a future demon lord candidate right there in their class. Rumors started flying around the school about Arata, the new student who supposedly had magic as powerful as a demon lord. Selena had deliberately spread the news to everyone, even claiming that Arata had the ability to create his own world. That same day, the headmaster called Arata to his office. Lilith mentioned that because of the rumor, they had not been able to get anything done in class. Arata just shrugged it off, saying the rumor actually sounded kind of cool. The headmaster welcomed Arata on behalf of the school and explained that Biblia Academy was actually a super-secret organization that trained mages. The school was backed by governments from all over the world and handled unsolved cases involving magic. At Biblia Academy, mages were known as magus. Arata asked if becoming a mage meant he could bring Hijiri back. The headmaster said he could not guarantee anything, but magic had the potential to make the impossible possible. In other words, whether something could happen or not really depended on the individual. Lilith added that there were no shortcuts. Only those who work hard and stayed disciplined would succeed. Arata reminded them that the headmaster had just said magic could make the impossible happen. Lilith did not have an answer for that. The headmaster confirmed what he had said and went on to explain that the school had 7 top students, each one outstanding in their field, who were called the Trinity Seven. They were like boss-level characters in a game, and Lilith was one of them. Arata acknowledged that Lilith certainly looked the part, though Lilith insisted that appearance did not mean anything. The headmaster told Arata that if he could get to know the Trinity Seven and earn their trust, he might begin to understand what it truly meant to be a mage. After they left the headmaster's office, Lilith told Arata not to take everything the headmaster said so seriously. While walking through the hallway, Arata suddenly sensed someone's presence above him. A girl dropped down from the ceiling, realizing that Arata had noticed her. She landed gracefully and approached him. Arata was impressed and said she looked like a ninja. The girl introduced herself as Leifi. She actually was a ninja. Arata asked if that meant she wasn't a mage. Leifi explained that ninja arts, astrology, and even more intimate forms of magic all fell under the category of sorcery. Arata was surprised by the last part, but Lilith quickly told him it wasn't any of his business. Lilith then pointed out that Leifi was also one of the Trinity Seven. Arata said Leifi was pretty amazing. Leifi playfully claimed she knew everything, from deadly combat techniques to more risky tricks. Lilith quickly stepped in, asking Leifi to stop talking like that. Leifi laughed and said she was only joking. She added that she found Arata amusing and kind of cute. Arata replied that he was just acting normal, but Lilith said he was anything but normal. Curious, Arata asked what the other members of the Trinity Seven were like. Leifi told him they were currently out on a transformation mission. She pointed outside at 2 girls, Akio and Mira. According to Leifi, when it came to raw ability, Mira was said to be even more skilled than Lilith, and in terms of offense, Akio was practically unbeatable. Arata was surprised to find out that all the members were girls. According to Leifi, magic is rooted in research on thoughts and emotions, which is why girls are generally more suited to being mages. Arata then asked if that meant being more emotional, like being honest about one's desires, was better. Lilith quickly shut that down, telling him that wasn't the case and that he needed to keep himself in check with things like that. Leifi and Arata laughed at Lilith, teasing her about how she seemed a bit too interested in that kind of topic. Annoyed, Lilith smacked Arata and stormed off. Arata only then realized that Lilith was actually more emotional than he thought. Leffy pointed out that she had never seen Lilith that expressive before. Usually, she was more of the calm and collected type, so the fact that she acted like that toward Arata meant he might actually be someone special to her. That night, Arata was lying in bed in his room trying to figure out where his grimoire had gone. Out of nowhere, the book appeared, floating right near his neck. The grimoire asked if he was surprised. Arata replied that after everything that happened that day, not much could surprise him anymore. The book suggested that he take a bath, saying it'd be refreshing, especially after such a long day. Arata made his way to the boys' bathroom, planning to soak in the tub. To his shock, he spotted Hijiri already in there. Trying to keep it cool, Arata greeted her casually. As he started washing his hair, Hijiri suddenly told him that he was using the wrong bottle. It wasn't shampoo. She held up the actual shampoo bottle to show him. Arata freaked out, shouting that she was the one who should be screaming out of surprise. Instead, Hijiri calmly mimicked his scream in his soft voice. Thrown off by how unfazed Hijiri seemed, Arata froze. Then Hijiri blurted out something totally unexpected, mentioning her size. Completely panicked, Arata sprinted out of the bathroom, yelling the whole way. Lilith, seeing the commotion, asked what was going on, but she quickly turned around after realizing Arata wasn't wearing a shirt. That, she said, was totally inappropriate. Arata couldn't help thinking that Hijiri's reaction had been nothing like Lilith's. Lilith had the kind of response you'd expect from someone who just saw a guy without clothes. Arata told her that Hijiri had been in the bathroom, but Lilith asked if he met Erin. She explained that Erin was one of the Trinity Seven, and honestly, she thought Erin looked a lot like Hijiri. Lilith went to find Erin and reminded her that she was in the boys' bathroom. Erin had gone in on purpose, thinking there wouldn't be any guys there. When Lilith told her that someone was already inside, Erin didn't seem to care in the slightest. After getting dressed, Arata called for his grimoire again. The book asked if he wasn't happy after all. Most guys might be. But Arata admitted he didn't know how to feel. The grimoire explained that while Erin might have the same face as Hijiri, what was inside her was completely different. Just getting to know her was already something meaningful. Arata started to realize that Erin might be connected to Hijiri in some way. And the Trinity Seven, they were probably going to be a huge part of his life. Suddenly, Lilith shouted from outside the room, telling Arata to please put some pants on.